It's the final round of the GP Bikes Pro Superbike Championship. All season long, it's been a battle between Suzuki's Alex Duma and BMW's Ben Young. 2 races remain. 3 points separate Duma from defending champion Ben Young. The first of 3 races from Shannonville Motorsport Park is next. Marshall Ferguson alongside Colin Fraser as we get set for the 5th and final round of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship in 2023. We are at Shannonville Motorsport Park, and it is a big one. BS Battery pole position award goes to Alex Duma, but it wasn't the only story in qualifying, Colin.
There was an awful lot going on. Of course, we struggled with the weather to have proper qualifying sessions. This one worked out. Ben Young was coming off a crash in the morning warm-up, so lots of pressure there, and there was a red flag late because Thomas Kazaz fell down and hurt his hand, and that meant that the last couple of minutes, those crucial minutes, didn't play out. Alex Duma won the pole for Suzuki. Ben Young was 0.3 up on his dash on the split when the red flag came out. So nothing to choose from between the 2 protagonists for the championship.
Yep, absolutely. Let's hear from our BS Battery pole position award winner in the GP Bikes Pro Superbike feature class. Here is Alex Duma.
All right, Alex, you were feeling sick last round, and you said you wanted to start off this weekend strong, and you did, finishing first in the qualifying. How did that feel for you?
It feels really amazing. From this morning, I've been on top in the standings, so I really feel awesome. Had a really good lap out there. Felt really comfortable, so that's a really good thing. So yeah, I'm really excited, and it's going to be fun.
So Duma wins that abbreviated qualifying session, and got to mention that Ben Young took the overall BS Batteries Championship for the best overall qualifying performance throughout the season. Here we see the rest of the grid, some interesting stories to follow there. Connor Campbell making his debut on the Kawasaki with the Jordan team, and be fun to follow him. And there you can see the rest of our grid as we get ready for 14 fun-filled laps here at Shannonville Motorsport Park.
As we get set, we get a chance to take a look at the track map, the long run here around Shannonville. When was the last time we ran this configuration, Colin?
2006, so it's been a while. The track has been revamped and upgraded to some extent, particularly that central portion that really makes up the difference between the perimeter track and the pro track. This is what we used to call the 15-turn version. It'll be fun to see what they're able to do.
It beats you up. Let's go down to our Bridgestone pit reporter, Sarah Said, with more on the championship.
Thanks, guys. It's the CSBK Pro Superbike Championship here at Shannonville, and the one question on everyone's mind is Ben Young going to be able to continue his winning streak for the title? The Van Dolder's home team BMW rider dominated the last 3 races in round 4 at CTMP, with Alex Duma finishing 3rd. The most points available this weekend is 85, and there are 3 points between the 2 of them, with Duma on the top as the season-long series leader. So it's safe to say it's anybody's championship. Back to you.
Thank you, Sarah. It's been an incredible battle all season long, and it leads here to Shannonville for round 5, and race 1 will set the tone for the rest of this weekend as the Apex Cycle starting lights are off. A launch and away goes Ben Young with a wheelie, getting as much as he can out of the bike, and Samuel Goran gets the whole shot around the outside in turn 1.
Really nice move by Goran. Of course, he's looking for that breakthrough win after 3 very good performances at Mosport at our last round.
Alex Duma sitting in 2nd right now, Ben Young in 3rd, and chased closely there by the Kawasaki of Jordan Zoke.
And we look at the 2nd and 3rd place riders. They're fighting for the title, and they're thinking about that bonus for laps led, so there is pressure to try and get to the front over the course of this tour.
And the pressure on here from Young right on the back of Duma. Samuel Goran, of course, throwing his BMW into the fray at CTMP, and now Duma is off the bike, sliding through the grass.
Question is, how badly damaged is that bike as Duma goes to remount?
And it doesn't look like Duma will be able to get the bike back up onto the wheels. Absolute devastation for the Liqui Moly Purple Skull Suzuki rider.
And look at that, Ben Young, in the midst of all of that, managed to grab the lead. So a crazy amount going on in our very first lap of the opening of 3 races here at Shannonville.
Zoke pushing the pace as they head down the back straight here, all over Young as Grant continues to lead. But watching from the infield is Alex Duma.
Yep, they're passing Duma, who'd be just over their right shoulder right now because, of course, the track is kind of wrapped in amongst itself. And right now, Young is doing some furious math and thinking, I think I just about got a championship.
As you see, Jordan Zoke going flying past here in one of his favorite places to pass at Shannonville Motorsport Park as they head towards the start-finish line. And everybody doing some calculations on the fly as we get a shot back at Alex Duma. What went wrong?
Well, Duma is following Geraint, and Geraint is very wide, and Duma drives up a seam where the pavement was freshened up in the spring. And you watch here, you can see that seam, and the front end just won't quite track. That just shows you these guys are at the absolute limit, and Duma, I think, might have been distracted by Geraint, because honestly, when I was watching, I was wondering where Geraint was going and didn't really catch the Duma incident, and of course, that's what allowed Ben Young to grab the lead in the midst of all that.
And not as though Duma would not have understood that seam in the pavement. Obviously, the different lines of Samuel Geraint, the pressure being on from behind from Ben Young, so many factors that go into that. But in the terms, the big picture of the championship here, what a moment that is for Ben Young to seize control.
Yeah, with 2 races to go after this one, it looks like we have had our decisive moment. Of course, you know, there could be more twists and turns. Who knows what the weather's going to be like. This is Friday. Maybe Saturday and Sunday we'll have some surprises. But what a remarkable turn of events, because Ben Young's been playing catch-up all season long. And honestly, it didn't look likely that Duma could lose the championship lead. I think most of us, most of the summer, thought that this was going to be Dumas' year.
Young in control. More when we return to Shannonville Motorsport Park after this. The Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship is brought to you in part by Economy Lube and Tire, Kawasaki, and Sur-On Canada. Closed captioning for the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship is brought to you in part by EBC Brakes and Clutches, Apex Cycle, MotorcycleCourse.com, and Supersonic Road Race School. Back at Shannonville Motorsport Park on lap 3 right now. Ben Young out in front after Alex Duma low siding, sliding into the grass here at Shannonville Motorsport Park as Jordan Zoke continues to give chase. You wonder how much he's going to force the issue with Ben Young out in front, the championship hopeful.
Well, it's very encouraging. You know, Zoke missed all of last season with motocross injuries. He's had all kinds of medical concerns even this year, but it hasn't affected his road racing. Every time we've seen him, he seems to be riding just that little bit better. That he's keeping up right now with Young. Now, is Young absolutely at his limit? No, he isn't. He's absolutely aware he needs to get this race home as we pass Duma with one of the CRCA marshals, and it's an unbelievably sad moment to be standing in a field watching your championship evaporate.
Can't imagine. For Jordan Zoke, bit of a cold streak, hasn't gone a full CSBK season without a win since 2005, and his last win back at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in 2021. So as much as he understands the true pace that Ben Young does have out in front here, Colin, you also know that he's a racer and he wants to go and try and force the issue a little bit, at least with him.
And the pace is not bad. You look at Geraint there in third, and we'd expect Geraint to be with these guys. He's a little bit behind them, and I don't know if he has a problem. He seems to be riding a little bit carefully, and we haven't touched much on Dion, who's at the back of this shot right now, and he has left the Kawasaki team on reasonable circumstances and moved out of the economy loop. Oh, did you catch that? Somebody went flying by.
Straight through as he'll take the escape exit here on his EFC Group BMW. And Geraint takes the long way around. Disaster for his race as well after doing such a great job to get in the middle between Duma and Young at CTMP in all 3 races. What happened here?
So you watch here, it's quite rough and it's hard to pick up your marker. It's the same for everybody. And right about here, he realizes his speed isn't quite what it should be. And it's very, very difficult to deal with these situations because once you run off, it's kind of in your head that that's a workable solution, but you lose a lot of time. Also, that runoff road, and we saw it very well from the onboard, is not in the same condition as the racetrack. It's a little bit more slippery, and there's a lot of decisions to make, so very risky when you choose to take that runoff.
Rejoining at 5th position is Samuel Goran in between Jordan Royds and Trevor Daly, who's back on the bike here this weekend at Shannonville after suffering major injuries in what would have been round 3 at Shubenacadie in Nova Scotia.
Right, Daly coming back. He's been exercising like a fiend. We've seen his activity on social media. He's been riding his bicycle with people like Ben Young. So a big step for him to manage to get back on track so soon after that crash in Nova Scotia during BS Batteries qualifying.
Great to see him on track, but he is right now a little bit behind Trevor Dion, sitting in that 3rd position in the Ducati, while Ben Young and Jordan Zoke continue to battle out front.
And we have to mention Thomas Kazaz. He probably would be, I'm guessing, 3rd right now on that Yamaha, but he hurt the wrist that he missed all of last season having troubles with. So another story that has unraveled at the end of the season with a guy who was really looking to finish on a strong note here at Shannonville.
Ben Young leading out in front in round number 5. Back in round 1 in race 2, a 17-race podium streak was ended when his tail section popped loose as he went through all sorts of adversity early on in the season, but after being the king of Mosport, coming in here and sitting out in front on lap 4, going to turn to lap 5 in just a second as they cross the start-finish line. Young certainly into a great rhythm.
Yeah, you got to enjoy watching Young there and putting on a real demonstration. They're so comfortable and confident with the performance of that BMW here at Shannonville. And now we're on board with Sam, and he is chasing like crazy Daly, and full marks to Daly because you know he can't be feeling his best, right? And he's got a long weekend of riding around a litany of injuries.
Not sure that Goran knew he'd be challenging with Daly for 4th position at this point in the race, but he's trying to track him down here at Shannonville. Welcome back to Shannonville Motorsport Park, reaching the midway point of this race as you see the battle there for 4th. Samuel Goran continuing to track down Trevor Daly, but the main story right now, Alex Duma, 2021 CSBK champion, sliding into the grass in the opening lap. Ben Young leading out in front, major implications on the championship as you see a pass there by Goran around the outside of Trevor Daly, who's been doing everything he can coming back from a broken femur in Nova Scotia to get back on that 1-speed Suzuki and give himself an opportunity to go racing.
And I think this is on the inside, actually braking to 2, which is actually a classic pass here at Shannonville. And you kind of size up the guy in front of you, see if he's going to hold his line. Daly didn't close the door. No aggressive riding here at all. And both of these guys are just going to get on with trying to turn some consistent lap times as we see what's going to play out.
We get a chance to hear more about the 1-speed Suzuki of Trevor Daly and his return to the Bridgestone CSBK paddock. Here's Bridgestone pit reporter Sarah Said.
Thanks, guys. 1-speed Suzuki driver Trevor Daly hasn't been back on the track for 2 months, and he's now making his return at Shannonville. He suffered a broken femur in Nova Scotia in practice and had surgery on the East Coast. And the last time he was on the track at Grand Bend, his was the story of the race. He fell and worked his way back into the lead group in the rain. And today, he says he hopes to make it far. Back to you guys.
Really strong performance here from Trevor Daly. Obviously not the season he was expecting to have. Moments of brilliance, but of course missing out at CTMP, a track where he, I'm sure, was expecting to get a number of strong results. And we're at that typical spot at the end of the year where really, compared to some riders, at least Daly's in the race. Some people aren't even participating at this point, and can't help but think about Thomas Kazaz.
Yes, absolutely. TV Tommy would absolutely love to be involved here in round 5. As we see halfway point, crossing the start-finish line as Samuel Goran goes flying in front of Trevor Daly, and we go on board with Goran.
Heading through turn 2, this is where he picked off Daly just a lap ago. Let's mention Sebastian Tremblay in his sport bike class Suzuki 750, and this is almost a test session really with the Bridgestone tires for Tremblay. This is his first weekend on that bike. Shows you the pace and the consistency of Tremblay, how well he can do even though he's probably spotting about 70 horsepower. Also, Connor Campbell starting to get the hang of the Kawasaki Superbike in his debut on the big bike in the feature class, and this is so good to see from a guy who's so well liked in the paddock. He's sitting out sport bike this weekend and getting the hang of the 1000cc Ninja.
Getting a head start on the 2024 CSBK development in the Zoke partnership there with the Canadian Kawasaki as Connor Campbell is the most laps run during the early part of qualifying here at Shannonville Motorsport Park. Actually went to Sebastian Tremblay. When you talk about it being a test session, he ran 9 laps in the first section of qualifying to try and get on top of that Suzuki.
Yeah, and don't forget Tremblay was a regular in the Superbike class last year. He's been a podium guy frequently over the years in Superbike, certainly capable, and we are at that strange situation right now where several of the top guns in sport bike in our middleweight class would actually be perfectly able to run at the very front of Superbike if they could put a program together.
As you see Trevor Daly trying to hold on to the back of Samuel Garand. There's Trevor Dion sitting in third in that Ducati program, Economy Lube and Tire Ducati that has got a lot of pace and has kind of come out of nowhere here going into round 5.
Out of nowhere in a big scramble to get this bike prepared and set up for the CSBK rules. It was originally a bike that raced in Moto America in the United States. Scott Miller from Fast Company, who I'd like to point out is not a Ducati expert, has become one over the last few days, and they have an Italian who's based in the US who's come up to help, Simon Tasso, and we'll hear more on TSN about this Ducati.
The Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship is brought to you in part by Economy Lube and Tire, Kawasaki, and Suron Canada. Welcome back to Shannonville Motorsport Park. Ben Young continues to lead out in front of Jordan Zoke, and Trevor Dion on that Ducati sitting in third position into the Brooklyn Cycle Racing Pro Rookie of the Year battle, and he's got more on how this Ducati program came together ahead of Shannonville.
It's kind of something that we weren't really expecting, I guess, if you could say. You know, with the whole Kawasaki deal, obviously that was something that we didn't really look to any other, you know, manufacturer at all. So with kind of you know, the team kind of having a bit of a fallout there, just it just kind of led us to us kind of doing our own thing. I was just trying some different bikes out at a regional. And I was offered to ride a V4, and I saw my leg over it, and I was comfortable quite instantly, to be honest with you. And it was pretty good to be able to ride that bike, because I kind of think it gave us the opportunity to work with the Economy Lube and Tire guys for next season. So it's definitely some pretty exciting stuff for us.
The Economy Lube and Tire team have quite a selection of very strong race bikes, many of them Ducatis, and they have already committed to competing next year and are excited about this program with Dion. They're looking at running twins in the sport bike category and also maybe in the Daytona 200 next March. And then, of course, Dion has already been announced as racing their superbike throughout next season. So this will be pretty exciting to have a serious Ducati program competing throughout the whole year. And the fact that Dion, even with a little attrition in this particular race, has made it up to third is extremely promising. And of course, some people don't get comfortable on Ducatis. It's a different kind of motorcycle, and it takes a lot of setup and a lot of knowledge. I don't think Dion's bike is working great just yet chassis-wise, but his lap times are quite reasonable, and he's building his confidence steadily. And of course, when you're in the position he's in, hasn't had much of a year, hasn't ridden as much as he wanted. He was hurt at the opener. This kind of thing where you're getting this amount of track time, particularly this is Friday, a race on Friday is going to help him a lot for the races on Saturday and Sunday.
The 2022 CSBK Sport Bike Champion hopping on that Ducati at the end of the season. You got to think he's just excited to get this much pace out of the bike. He's only 21 years old as well. A young rider who's figuring it out on the fly is really impressive from Dion, as we see on board with Jordan Zoke.
Yeah, Zoke heading along the back straight there. I don't think he's in the mindset to go after Young right now, but you can bet he wants to get that second place position. Jordan, it's been a bit of a thin season. They've had some technical issues, and of course the relationship with Dion has come apart, and there you see our last lap flag.
Ben Young takes the white flag here as he heads around the long course at Shannonville Motorsport Park one more time with Alex Dumas sliding off on lap 1, and Young has controlled this race from start to finish at this point.
Yep, the U-boat looks impressive, and you can bet that Ben is just watching his onboard timer. He's well aware of the situation. He probably figured it was going to be a battle to the end with Duma, probably you know, a lot of pressure in this race and a lot of psych up to get ready for it. So it's kind of a relaxing situation when you end up being able to just run at your own pace. And look at that BMW is working so well, and that combination has been very impressive in the dry through the second half of the season.
looks so comfortable on that bike with great conditions here at Shannonville Motorsport Park. If he wins, he'll lead the championship by 23 points. A long and winding road to get here, but it'd be the first lead of the season for the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship for Ben Young.
And 23 points is very close to a race win. Of course, we've already factored in the qualifying points. We have some more laps led points, but not a lot of meat left on the bone. This is a terrific situation for Ben Young and his championship effort, and the never give up, never say die efforts of their team with this new BMW this year, the M with the very, very sleek aerodynamic treatment.
As the Van Dolder's home team BMW goes flying down the back straight one more time here at Shannonville Motorsport Park. Entering round 5, 4 wins, 5 podiums, faster than Alex Duma in all but one practice or qualifying session so far on the year. Qualified second here at Shannonville, but in control as he rounds the final turn in race number 1 of the triple header. A sweep at CTMP, make it 4 in a row for Ben Young as he grabs the championship lead.
Ben Young patting the tank of that BMW, letting everyone know how proud he is of the performance of that new motorcycle. He's got 2 of them, so he's in a very strong position. He has 2 more races to go, tomorrow and Sunday, and it'll be interesting to see what he and Dumas get up to. Of course, Dumas, with the pressure off, is going to be looking for wins.
Dumas failing to make the podium for just the second time in his 26 race career, both of them DNFs, and only this time there wasn't another Suzuki there to pick up the pieces, as it will be Ben Young up in front, Jordan Zoke following in behind, and Trevor Dion gets on the podium in that new Economy Lube and Tire Ducati program, but it's all Young all day here at Shannonville.
Looking at our final standings, let's look a little further back. Jordan Royce, we didn't quite get a chance to see him, but he had a very strong performance up to 6th. Tremblay on his sport bike, 7th, again, very strong. And Campbell, you can't really do much better than 8th in your very first day of riding a superbike. Looking at the rest of our top 10, let's mention John Fraser, who's doing a little bit better than that. I believe he ran off on the back straight.
Let's go down to our Bridgestone pit reporter, Sarah Said, with our winner.
Congrats, Ben. The winning streak continues from last round. How's it feel to get that win today?
Yeah, good. A nice relief. You know, it's been a very busy Friday for us all. Unfortunately, crashing out this morning, and you know, first of all, I just hope Alex is okay. I seen how he crashed. He just kind of got sucked in by Sam going in deep, and you know, it's a easy mistake, right? It's a flat corner is very hard to see around. So yeah, hopefully he's okay for us to go again and battle out for the rest of the weekend.
Where's your mind at for the other races coming up?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, now we have a, you know, it's not over yet by any means. You know, I was just down, and now and I was able to come back. So, you know, there's nothing stopping Alex from potentially doing the same. So we're just going to treat tomorrow as a new day and then just keep moving on.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One day at a time is how Ben Young got back into the championship lead. Here's the total standings after 8 of 10 races.
Yes, when he gets up in the morning for tomorrow's race, for the first time he's leading the championship, almost a race in hand. Garin had a bumpy ride, but he has moved up to a solid 3rd with consistent efforts throughout the season. There we see our manufacturer's point standings. BMW pretty much in the driver's seat there because of that incident with Dumas.
Ducati's first Superbike podium since 1993, a 2023 best result of 2nd for Jordan Zoke, but the top step, it's Ben Young in control of the Bridgestone Canadian Superbike Championship.